Hello, friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. All right, as you may have already guessed, I am in California and preparing for my father's funeral, which is tomorrow. Now, there have been a couple of things that kind of shook things up in the last couple of days. Actually, I knew about this 2 days ago and knew about it yesterday when I was shooting my Wuhan coronavirus update video, but I elected not to include it there and will instead include it here. There have been a couple changes because of this whole coronavirus panic that's going on right now. For one thing, we've decided that we're going to hold out and do the memorial in a couple of months when things have kind of calmed down a little bit. We decided maybe it wasn't the best idea in the world to get a whole church filled with people, many of whom are elderly, and just risk it. So tomorrow is going to be just the funeral itself. It's just going to be a family affair, less than 20 people, and that's going to be the extent of what happens tomorrow. Now, it's probably better off we're doing this anyway because it's also supposed to rain tomorrow. So hopefully, they're saying the rain's going to come hopefully in the afternoon. We're hoping that happens because the funeral itself is at 11:30, and that's going to be the graveside service. So, kind of playing it by ear, see what happens. Additionally, I was originally going to be staying with my mom for this trip, but apparently the senior assisted living home that she's in, her apartment, is also taking this whole coronavirus thing very seriously. And they have established from now on that there are no overnight guests until this thing's wrapped up. In fact, they've also updated the policy a little bit so that they're shutting down the kitchen about an hour a day so they can do a real thorough desanitization every day, because they're really serious about controlling this thing. And I've even heard rumors that they may be locking the residents into their own apartments and making them stay there until this is over, just to try and minimize the issue. There haven't been any issues here in this place, but they're just taking kind of an abundance of caution. And, we're going to play by ear and see what happens. But that's where we are right now. So, like I said, I've seen my sister, my brother-in-law, and niece and nephew, and I've also met up with my uncle, who has come from Minnesota to be here. This is my dad's brother, so we were glad that he could come out, and glad that he can be a part of this. So I've met with all of them a little bit, and we're going to have a little talk tomorrow about some of the legal stuff that's going on. There's still some legal shenanigans going on with my mom and all that stuff. They pay into this program for decades and decades to get long-term, health care when they need it. And now when they need it, now they're pulling teeth to get the insurance company to start forking over the money. Every time they provide a piece of documentation that they supposedly need to get this thing going, all of a sudden there's something else that they need. And they're really getting frustrated because my mom has been in this place now for a few weeks, and the bills are starting to back up. My mom doesn't have the money to pay this place what it takes to stay there. That's the reason we have the long-term health care. And like I said, they're just dragging their heels on that. You know how that works. So they're hoping that they can drag it out long enough. Maybe the other one will die too. I know how morbid that is and how sick and twisted that is, but that's sort of what we're dealing with right now. So I don't know how we're going to deal with that. I also did fly out here, obviously because I'm here, and I have to admit the airport experience was a little bit different. I had been told that there was nobody in the airports these days because everyone's just afraid to go, but the airport actually seemed pretty busy, pretty typical for a Sunday. I've got a little bit of experience flying out of Dallas in the past few months, and this seemed like a pretty typical trip. The airplane wasn't quite full, I actually had an empty seat next to me, which is always nice. But I would say it was 95% full. So I just tried doing it my best as I could to maintain all the rules that we talked about in yesterday's video. Tried to keep that 6-foot rule whenever possible. Tried to, stay away from people who appeared to be sick. Tried to avoid physical contact with anyone. And, I don't know. We'll see what happens. 2 to 14 days to incubate. So I guess we'll know in 2 to 14 days. Plus the fact, I got a return trip in a couple days too. Really hoping at this point, the way things are escalating, that they don't make the decision to shut down air travel, because that's going to be a real problem for me if I can't get back. I was talking about that today, and everyone was saying, well, just rent a car. It's like, yeah, well, I know, but everybody in the world is going to have that same idea. And it's going to be as hard to get a rental car as it is to get toilet paper today. So I don't know. We're just playing it by ear, hoping everything goes well and it doesn't get any worse than it is. I will admit that the hotel that I'm in is virtually abandoned. So they are definitely feeling the impact of it. In fact, the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, just released some might call rather extreme rules for combating the virus. He shut down all bars. He's asking restaurants to limit the number of people inside, and he has put a quarantine on anyone 65 years or older being out and about. Yeah, I think that's really a little bit extreme here. I don't know if he's got really the ability to enforce that or anything, but that's what he's doing. And I tried to go and have a beer tonight at a local bar, and they were closed. The bar downstairs in the hotel is closed. They aren't even serving food out of this place right now. We had to go to a restaurant for dinner tonight. And I know it seems like a bunch of people are violating this new rule, because the whole place was just packed with senior citizens. So, I don't know. Like I said, it's probably something that they're not going to be able to enforce, but, that's just kind of the direction California is going on all this. So anyway, that's where we are right now. I think that's all I have to say for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.